Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have a lot of vowels. If my opponent plays an R, I have Theo Dari. Otherwise, I don't think I have an 8. And there's no 7-letter bingo here. But I've got a scoring tile in the F. No R. Nothing with the B. Can I play off 3 vowels with the F? It's easy enough to play faux, but that leaves a vowel-heavy rack leave. Well, I can't see a way of playing off 3 vowels with the F. Now, BI takes an O in front, so I'm wondering if I can get my F on one of these triple letter squares. I could play oaf. Duplicate E, not a disaster. 19 points. What about playing in column 9? £17 points, and that's quite dangerous, placing the vowel next to this triple letter square. So I think I will play oaf up here. Not too bad. That looks close to a bingo. Certainly bingo-y tiles. It's just the duplicates which is problematic. I could do with some floating consonants. Can't see anything through the F. And I can't see anything through any of the vowels on the board. The B is also available. Can't see anything there. Right. A couple more consonants to consider, the L and the T. The L doesn't look helpful, it duplicates a tile on my rack. What about the T? Gosh, that looks close to something. Is there something there? If there is something, it's very high probability. Well, I can't see anything. So I'm now wondering about playing in column 15, pluralizing piglet. It will burn my S, but I think the score will justify it. So I could play idols. Is there a way of getting my D doubled? Yes, there is. There's eilds. Not so great having the E up here because that makes column A more bingo-y, but this leaves a better rack leave and a better score. 34 points. I'm just pausing because I don't like these 2 vowels. So, what about playing Seidel down here? It might be slightly fewer points, but the rack leave's going to be better. 31 points. Well, probably not much between them. Although I feel slightly uneasy about burning an E and getting fewer points. And this is quite hot for an H, but I think I prefer 1 vowel rather than 2. Well, on this occasion I draw consonants, and they're quite clunky. C, G and X, not great, but the X is a good scoring tile. So I should be able to play my way through this. Tiglik is good. That would retain the X, but sort out the rest of the rack, and that plays through the L of piglet and is still available. Just 3 points for my opponent. He's probably close to a bingo. Now, my opponent has provided this spot for my X. So I could play ticks. It keeps the C and the G, which isn't great. But the X is not a bingo-y tile. And if my opponent is close to a bingo, then this 5-letter lane across here may not be helpful to him. If he plays there, he'll be destroying his rack. So, not a great rack leave, but 35 points is a good score. Just pausing in case there's a better spot for my X. Can't see one. Well, that's not too bad. I get an E back. 2 G's not good. No 7 or 8 letter bingos that I can see. Great, just 17 for my opponent. Now, do I have a 5-letter play across here? Can't see one. I'd like to play off both G's, so I could play gig and go. CEST is quite a good rack leave, especially if I pick up almost any vowel. I certainly don't want to keep a C and a G. They don't go well together. And this is taking out a hot spot for the Z. 16 points, not great, but I'm mainly rack balancing with this play. I do draw a vowel. This looks close to a bingo. Just looking at the floaters on the board. I can't see a 7 with this. I'm mainly looking at the floaters in piglets. Well, I can't see anything there. But I've got cube across the top of gig and cubed. My opponent may well go there since I have just played in that spot. The 5-letter lane is still open in row H. Can't see a way of using that myself without burning my S. I could play cubes there. R is available as a floater. I've got the sub prefix, but with DECT I can't see anything. If my opponent plays in row E, he'll be opening up opportunities in row D. Great, he doesn't play there. 29 points, not a disaster. I've got cubed. Let me just consider the floaters. I don't think sub-cadet is good. But the A does look quite handy. Can't see anything with that. I think BCU together is fairly unbingo-y. So I've got cubed here for 35, which is a good score. Not great. Still no blanks been played. I've got a scoring tile in the K, so a play of pork would sort this out. I'm just considering the 2 vowels that are available, the E of piglets and the A of varia, in case I have an 8-letter bingo. Can't see one. And I can't see anywhere really hot for my K. I could play park in column 2. That would sort the rack out. I've got a 50-point lead, which is quite slender, especially with both blanks still to come. Both H's are still to come. A play in column 14 with the H next to the E could easily score 50 points. Now, if a play's over the top of cube, nothing goes in front of C, but an O can go in front of BI and an R in front of ego. So I could play Tor in this spot. POR not good. 24 points. Not a great rack leave. AT takes a T after it. So I could play Port, but I'm inclined to get rid of the K if I can. Now my opponent's taken my spot, which is annoying, and provided nothing new. So, where to play my K? I'm looking in column 13 to see if I can get it doubled and doubled again. Can't see a way of doing that. Nothing goes after racks. 13 minutes on my clock. Can't see anything through the L. I certainly need to play off an R. So is there anywhere at all for pork? Don't think so. I could play porks and side Ls. It burns the S, but the score may justify that. Let me see what this scores. 30 points. The S is worth about 8, so can I score in the low 20s with a comparable rack leave? If I played Perk, only 15 points, so that's not great. This doesn't feel great, especially placing the O above a double letter square. It makes it very easy for my opponent to score on a board which doesn't have many scoring opportunities. And one S is already gone. But where else can I play? Well, what about this? Poker. It kills the H hotspot. It does score in the low 20s. It retains the S, and RST has got synergy. So that is much better. Not great. Still struggling with a shortage of vowels. And no scoring tiles. And not many floating vowels. There's really just the O of poker. Can't see anything through that with this rack. And I'm going to struggle to score. If I played something like dance, it would have the same failings as porks in the sense that it's placing a vowel above a premium square and not scoring very much. Just 20 points. Still both blanks to come, so it would be quite good to play off a lot of tiles. I no longer have an O for going in front of BI. I do have a D for coming underneath the I, but there aren't many words which end TD and nothing, if any, and nothing on my rack. My S can also go underneath Gene. Now, nice score by my opponent. I could certainly play AN here. I could play ANN. I certainly want to play one of the N's. If I place my N here, there's nothing to go in front of PA, so I think this is the only way I can achieve that. 32 points, much better score than I was expecting. This is a vulnerable rack leave. It's much better to have 3 consonants than 4. I run the risk of drawing no vowels or 1 vowel. I really need 2 or 3. But I think, even having said that, this is the best play. I draw 2 vowels, but they're the same vowel, and I draw a V, so this is a non-bingo-y rack. Through an L, I would have Volost. I've got Vrot on my rack, and I've got the spot here for VOR, Vug, Obi, and Rigo. That would leave quite a good rack leave and score well and provide nothing for my opponent. And it stays available and just 10 points for my opponent. I don't think he's provided a better spot than this one. 36 points is a good score. My opponent has turned over a lot of tiles. He may well have picked one of the blanks. Here come the vowels. There probably are 8-letter bingos here. I can't see a 7. Not many floaters to consider. There's the R of Varia and the V. Can't see anything there. I could place my T above the R, so nearly trousered, but not quite. $34 points for my opponent. It's a good score for him. He's only 40 points behind. So whoever gets the first bingo is going to be in a good position. 3 E's left, 24 tiles in the bag, both blanks still to come. Zone takes an O in front, so I can play outed down here for a good score and turning over a lot of tiles to increase my chances of drawing one of the blanks, and I'm retaining a good 2-letter rack leave. The downside is I'm providing floaters for my opponent, but I think the merits of this play justify that. Having said that, I could place my O under the Z, but I can't see a better play in row L. Now this looks quite good. I've got Childers in row O, which I think is good. A nice balanced rack. This is quite bingo-y. I've got Chiseler, I've got Schliera in row N, ending on the E. That would be quite nice. NE and UN are available as pairs. The remaining tiles quite bingo-y, mainly because of the blanks that are out there. But there's also a Q, 2 Ys and a W, which are non-bingo-y. Can't see anything beginning with the V. Cherville's is good, but that doesn't work. Can't see anything with the R. Ozone takes an S. But I can't see anything with the N. And Schliera and Chiseler don't play through this E. So I have bingos, but they could all be blocked. So what to do if they are blocked? The whole of the top of the board is pretty much locked down. Well, I could play Chines down here. But it'll be an interesting position if my opponent bingos, because he's 75 points behind. So a bingo will probably give him a slight lead. He doesn't bingo, and I think he's phonied. Fantastic. So, let me get Schliera down and draw one on both blanks. $80 points. Ah, no blanks. And I draw 3 non-bingo-y tiles. I do have an I for going with the Q. My opponent challenges. He loses 5 points. I've now got a 160-point lead. So I'm in good shape. What to do with this rack? Should I play the Q straight away? 10 tiles left, including both blanks. Maybe I should change. I don't think so. This board is blocked. It doesn't contain bingo lanes. I think I'd like to just keep on scoring. If I'm not playing my Q, I'd like to retain the I, and I can do that with tie E across here. 9 minutes on my clock. 22 points, not a great score, but I'm playing off one of the Ys. I don't think I can play off both of them anywhere, or anywhere that I've seen. This isn't a particularly Y-friendly board. Just looking at this L for a play ending LY, I could play Ely For the same score, 22 points. Maybe that's worth doing. Although I quite like playing off one more tile as I'm doing here. I've just seen a... I was going to say I've seen a better play with Yite, but that burns my eye. However, let me consider it. £29 points is a better score. I've still got the Eye of Schliera for my cue. I'm not sure that my own eye is particularly useful because there isn't anywhere on the board for QI. One eye to come, one U to come, both blanks to come. Am I missing a spot for my cue? Well, I think I need to sort out the Ys. This is a decent score. So I've got the QI spot with the Eye of Schliera. I've got an S, so I could make suck through a U. No U's available. I've also got the Eye of Seidel. I hadn't spotted that. That makes it much better. Makes my cue holding much better, and it makes my playing of the eye much less bad. Look at that. Both blanks out there. 6 tiles left. This looks like the best bingo lane, beginning with this D, so I'm inclined to block that. I'm not sure if Schliera takes an S. I think it takes an N. So what would be the best way of blocking this D? I'm not sure. I don't think it'll be enough for my opponent. He can only bingo once with 6 tiles in the bag. 10 minutes on his clock, 7 minutes on mine. Yite takes an S. Well, he's blocked his own bingo lane. Fine by me. So, is now the time to play my cue? Well, I don't have to because I've got the 2 spots. I could hold out in the hope of drawing a U, in which case I might be able to score quite well. I could play Quaff, for instance. So 4 tiles left. I'm looking to play off 3, including the Y. So any 3-letter play, including the Y, would work. I'm just looking above Schliera, but I don't want to drop to block one of my eyes. So OYE or AYE. 6 minutes on my clock. The Y is often quite a handy tile. Well, I can play OT. OT blocks the eye. 17 points. Pokery, I don't think is good, although it's possible it is. Only 3 vowels to come. Can I place my S after ozone? Can't see a way of doing that. So 3 vowels to come, so I don't have to burn a lot of vowels. I do want to play off 3 tiles. I do want to play the Y. Well, I can play yeah down here for 20 points. I think that's good. It's retaining the O for Quaff. I draw one of the blanks, which is good, and my opponent's rack is pretty non-bingo-y, but that's fairly academic since this board is contains no bingo lanes. So I can use my blank to play quaff. I can see what my opponent's got. He may well go out in 1. 5 minutes on my clock. Can I place my cue here? Q blank E. Gosh, I can't. How surprising, given my rack. I thought there might be something there. Ah, I could play shekel. No, I can't. Is quaff best? 36 points for that. Has my opponent provided anything down here? I don't think so. Do I have anything beginning dim? No. So I think I'll go with quaff. I suspect there may well be a better play here. 36 points. I'm expecting my opponent to go out, but it's not easy. And if he doesn't, I think I should be able to. I've got sealed across here, S-E-E-L-D. And I think I've got elds across here. Oh, well, I've just seen my opponent could play aunts across here with the blank as an N. So he can go out in 1. He misses that. My elds spot remains available. $19 points. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game. Which he does. And the final score, 254 to my opponent, 449 to me. A winning margin of 195 points. So a massive, massive win. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go fast. He played bye. This was my rack. And I don't like retaining the F. It is non-bingo-y. So not much on offer there. I think oaf is fine. My opponent's rack. He plays piglet. This was my rack. I didn't miss a bingo. Lily, that's quite nice for 18. I played Seidel for 31. Well, probably not much between those. But Seidel is fine. Horrible rack for my opponent. He plays air. This was my rack. I played ticks. That looks fine. My opponent's rack. He plays orb. And I played gig here for 16. I like the rack leave. It's certainly a lot better than gist and just CI. So I'm happy with gig. My opponent's rack, he's got variate. Nowhere to play that. He's also got varietal, which did play onto the L of Seidel. Now, what did I have here? Sub-acted. Wow, I thought about sub-cadet. I didn't think about sub-acted, and even if I had thought about it, I don't think I would have been sure enough of it to play it. Sub-acted. Nice bingo. Instead, I played cubed for 35. A good rack leave of ST. So I probably dropped about 15 points of equity on that move. My opponent's rack. He plays Gene. And this was a tricky rack. I ended up playing poker. But I could have played proker or porker. And possibly those would have been better, given that the bag was half empty and both blanks were still to come, because it would have played off one more tile. Anyway, poker's fine. My opponent plays more, and I play Anne, which is fine. Not a nice rack for my opponent. He sorts it out with tunnel. This was my rack, and Vor was my play. That looks best. My opponent plays zone, which gave me an opportunity to play outed. That looks fine. Horrible rack for my opponent. He phonied with Fow, which was great because I had Schliera and Chisler, and those were the only two bingos. So, in particular, Childer's not good. I think it's just Childer without the S. My opponent plays OH. Now, I was in a tricky spot in the sense that I had a Q and two Ys. Tight. E14. Oh wow, I didn't consider placing my Y here. That's nice, 34 points. Instead, I played E8 for 29. Yeah, so tight would have retained the I and scored more points. It would, however, have only played off 3 tiles rather than 4, and I did have an I on these blanks. Wow, and they were not on my opponent's rack at this time. There were 6 tiles in the bag, and 2 of them were blanks. Which again is why Yite has an advantage over tight. My opponent played dim. Yeah, he did not have a bingo rack. This was my rack. Ah, I could have played yes, burning the S. Well, I wouldn't have wanted to do that because that would have emptied the bag. So, although it just doesn't appear here, I like yeah. This was my opponent's rack. Well, he didn't have anything great. And then this was my rack. Quells, J4. Oh wow, running down parallel to yeah, very nice. Instead, well, I held on to my S. And since I saw that my opponent could go out, I should probably have played it. Now, this was my opponent's rack. I saw aunts for him. There were a couple of other words in the same spot. Autist through this T, difficult one to spot. And, well, a few other outs as well. Anyway, fortunately for me, he missed all of them. And Elds was my best out. So, a tricky game. We were close for quite a long time until my opponent phonied and I got Schliera, and then I had a good lead and the board was blocked, so it was difficult for my opponent to come back. But pretty good game. So I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I will see you next time.